Namaskar, dear seekers. Welcome to our series of Your Questions, Guru's Answers, where we discuss a topic and you share your questions or experiences. Today we will have a topic which is related to all of us. It is about the moon. So first I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dejan and I come from Serbia in Europe, and I've been doing spiritual practice for 20 years. I also lived in ashram in India for close to 3 years, where I practiced spirituality. As my spiritual practice, I'm helping with spreading spirituality and also taking care of the SSRF website and promotion. SSRF means Spiritual Science Research Foundation. It was founded in 2006 with the blessings of His Holiness Dr. Atavle, and we have a website with close to 800 articles on different topics and subjects. So when you have time, please look at the website and the articles. SSRF has two main objectives. One is to explain the spiritual dimension and how it can affect us positively or negatively, and we keep this knowledge on the website. And the second objective is to guide and help the seekers like yourselves on the spiritual journey all the way to God realization. And for that, we have close to 50 different online meetings every week in English and many other languages. And we have dedicated seekers who practice spirituality for many years and who can guide you. And you can meet them also and learn from them. And together with SSRF, there is the Maharshi University of Spirituality. It is a unique university that does spiritual research using biofeedback devices and sixth sense. And there is also a website, and some research is quite eye-opening. We present this research on scientific conferences all around the world in various languages. So I'm very grateful to be here with you today to talk about this topic. So before we start, we usually do 2 minutes of meditation or chanting. So we'll play one divine chant, and you can chant with us. This is just to get some concentration, and after that we'll go to the topic.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Namo Bhagavate.
And as some of you may know, today is the supermoon. So what is the supermoon? Supermoon is when the moon comes closest to the Earth's orbit, and at the same time it is a full moon. So then it looks slightly brighter and larger than a regular full moon. And what is the impact of this? So some of our seekers, spiritual seekers, have experienced some unusual and distressing experiences. So, for example, we have one seeker who generally doesn't have any spiritual distress, and he experienced the presence of negative energies following him and attacking him during the night, and even having sleep paralysis. So this is happening this supermoon yesterday and today. Another seeker who does not have any spiritual distress has experienced very low energy levels without any reason for it, no physical reason or psychological reason. So he has slept, his mind is fine, but he's feeling very lethargic and low energy. And many of the seekers who do have negative energy distress have experienced that it has increased So have you experienced anything like this in the supermoon phase yesterday or today? So you can share in the chat, and I will try to look at your comments. I'll give you a minute to type, and then we can move on. If you have any comments or experiences, you can share. Okay, it seems some are saying my voice is too low. Okay. Is it better now? It seems we're having some technical problems. Okay. I hope you're able to hear me now. Okay, so if you had any experiences you can share. It still seems that we have problems. Okay. Nicola, I make one comment. We can go over that in the comments section, questions and answers. So what impact does the moon have on us? So the conventional or modern research has found that the moon does have some impact. For example, in the case of people who have bipolar disorder, which is I think a psychiatric disorder, they are affected by the moon cycle, and people switch easily from depression to mania. Also, researchers found that the crime increases when there is more moonlight, which, if you think about it, doesn't make sense, because there is more light, there is more possibility they will get caught. But for some reason, the crime does increase on those days. So why does this happen? Scientific research has not gone further to find what happens, of course, at the spiritual level. But the spiritual level, which we have performed, shows that the moon and the planets are impacting everyone at the spiritual level. And we can notice it especially if we have a higher sixth sense. And it is especially noticeable during the full moon and new moon periods. So the moon affects us at the spiritual level on new moon days more, because on those days it is dark. So the frequencies of Rajatama, which are spiritually impure frequencies, are on the rise, and negative energies use that. Whereas on the full moon day, there is more brightness, but then there is an impact of the gravity that negative energies are using, because the sun and the moon are aligned in the same line. So it creates more impact on the gravity, and it creates a pressure in the environment, which we will show on the screen. So in this image on the screen, you can see how the atmosphere gets pulled to the moon and creates a high pressure belt. And the moon has the ability to affect the mind, our emotions, feelings, and desires. So during the full moon and new moon periods, it has a different impact on our mind. Also, full moon, generally new moon impacts the mind more, but the full moon also impacts the body because it's more gross in nature, more tangible. And then we can experience lethargy, weakness, etc. And what can also happen is that on full moon, there is increased activity of the mind. For example, someone who is a writer, they may write more during the full moon because they get that inspiration to write. But in general, for most people, there will be more thoughts and more desires on full moon. Now the new moon is more impactful. And during this phase, we can see more negative thoughts, more defects increasing like anger, pride, jealousy, selfishness, etc. So that was the image. And that is what happens. So what can be the solution? Because this is a problem at the spiritual level, then we have to take spiritual remedies. So one remedy is to increase our spiritual practice on those days. And one thing that we can do is to chant the name of God, like we chanted in the beginning of this session, which imbibes divine energy and helps to purify us. And we can repeat this chant throughout the day also. And we can also take some other self-healing measures, like the saltwater remedy. So we will show an image of the saltwater remedy. This is a saltwater remedy. Basically, you take a bucket and you put salt in the water, and you put your feet in the bucket and chant, and keep it for 15 minutes. And then afterwards, after it's finished, 15 minutes are passed, to throw away that bucket of water. So this saltwater remedy has the ability to imbibe negative energy into the water. So this will leave us more pure. We will get some more energy, less thoughts, and it's especially useful to do it on the days of the full moon and the new moon. You can do it on other days also. And another remedy I will show you now is a box treatment. It is very simple. You take a box such as this one, and you just keep it in front of you. And you can keep it on different chakras and keep chanting. So the box has the ability, because it's hollow space, to suck out black energy. So this is some remedy. And another thing that can happen is that during full moon and new moon, usually we have sleep problems, isn't it? Either insomnia, not able to sleep. Some people have nightmares. So that we can also take some measures to keep our sleeping area purified with incense sticks, with boxes. We can play the chant during the night. And the incense sticks should be pure. And SSRF has incense sticks on its shop on the website that are spiritually pure. So this is some introduction onto the full moon topic and what you can do about it. And now we can go over some questions. You can share any questions or any comments that you have, and we will answer them. Antonia, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Antonia. You shared that your family member committed suicide on a full moon. So we're very sorry to hear about that. Yeah, sometimes the effects of negative energies can be strong. And we hope you're able to feel better after some time. Yasmina shared she couldn't sleep and has low energy. So that is a common thing that can happen on the days of full moon and new moon. So on those days, you can take the remedies that we shared. For low energy, you can take saltwater remedy. And when you can't sleep, you can play the chant, or you can pray. You can chant before sleeping also. Let's see if there are some more questions. Nicola, after taking remedies, I feel positive, but also very sleepy. That is also common what happens, that sometimes, because that is a good sign that healing is happening. So sometimes after getting healing, we feel sleepy. And you shared that your mother is under enormous stress today and is very irritable. So yeah, this can happen, as we shared, that people can be more irritated their personality defects can increase during the time. And low energy, low energy can also be due to the full moon. And Sattvic Krupa shared that there is a headache. For headache, you can take the box remedy and you can keep it in front of your forehead. And also when you are chanting, when you're doing your chanting, you can do something called nyas. You put your 5 fingers together and you put it on the Ajna chakra, which is this forehead chakra, and chant like that. And that will help to reduce the headache. So any more questions or comments or experiences you can share? Anything you're feeling, or it doesn't have to be only about the full moon. It can be about other things related to healing or negative energies. So Marco has experienced yesterday some strange feeling and thoughts which didn't have for a long time. So this is interesting, Marco, because there are thoughts and impressions in our subconscious mind. They stay there, but after some time they can come back. So the moon activates. This is exactly showing the science is correct, because the moon activates those impressions, and they come into the conscious mind, and then we get all kinds of unexpected thoughts and feelings. So any more questions? Nicola has asked, the saint's guide to remove black energy on the eyes to prevent distressing energy from entering physical body on full moon and new moon. So how to do that? This is correct, that that energy that comes on us first comes to the eyes and then enters the rest of the body. So to be able to remove the black energy, there is some procedure called removal of black energy. And for that we use our hands, because our hands are continuously emitting positive energy through the 5 different principles that are in our fingers. So we can take our hands and we can remove the black energy covering around our head and around our body in this way. And then you can try it yourself and see what you feel. Actually, this will be very useful to do tonight because there is a lot of negative energy due to the full moon. And you can also remove from the eyes, so this way. And take it out like this also. So you can try this and share what you experienced. Does this help, Nicola? I hope it helped you. So Rutuja shared that before or on full moon, I feel excruciating pain and guilt. Why does this happen and how to overcome this? Is this a physical pain that you're experiencing? You can share about that. But in terms of the guilt can be also because of the impressions in the subconscious mind. Something that has happened to us in the past, and we feel guilty about it. So during the moon times, those impressions come back because we have not overcome them. So there is actually a technique which we can use to overcome such impressions like guilt. They're called autosuggestions. So you can frame it and then repeat it 5 times in a row and 3 times a day. So for example, whenever I start feeling guilty about this past incident, I will become aware of it, and I will realize that it is in the past, the situation is better now, so I will calm down and I will chant. And okay, Rutuja, you shared that this pain that you have is not physical, it is emotional. So that emotional pain is related to the impressions in the mind, and negative energies may be using that to cause you distress. So the remedy for that can be to chant and to take these auto-suggestions. If you need help making auto-suggestions, you can write to our seekers on our website, on our live chat facility. They're able to answer the questions there. And Nicola has written that he does regularly. That is very nice. And can he do nyas, this on the eyes? You don't do nyas on the eyes. Nyas we usually do on the chakras. You can just remove the black covering from the eyes. Sometimes if you have eye pain, yes, you can also put the nyas on the eyes. That will help you to overcome that pain. So we have more questions. From Bhumika, I experienced some arguments with family members. How to keep calm in such situation during full moon or new moon? So Bhumika, this is very interesting that you say that all the family members can be affected, and also our ancestors, which are present around us, can cause problems in the family. So at that time, what we can do is we can chant one chant called Shri Gurudeva Datta, and that will help us to overcome, to feel more protected in those situations. So our seekers will put in the chat the chant of Shri Gurudeva Datta. So Rutuja, you said thank you so much. Gratitude to God. And you said you chant Om Namah Shivaya because you feel naturally drawn to it. That is nice, but you can, in addition to that, you can try to chant Shri Gurudev Datta chant and the universal chant and see what you feel. Because every chant has its purpose, and the Shri Gurudev Datta chant has the purpose to protect us from the ancestors, and the universal chant is the chant most applicable for today's times. So you can try all of them and see what you feel. You continue with your chant, but you can add sometimes 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, these other chants, and see how you feel. Would that be okay? Okay. So Hendrik has written, is there a difference between a supermoon and a total lunar eclipse? So that is interesting, and yes, there is a difference. Supermoon is impactful, it has some strength, but the lunar eclipse is more powerful, because during the lunar eclipse, the moon is completely covered. So we have an article on the website which explains that at that time, negative energy in environment increases a lot. So you can also take some remedies on the days of lunar eclipse or solar eclipse, and not to look at the eclipse. They will impact us more. Hope this helps. So Effin has written that even though I take autosuggestion to prevent me from watching YouTube, it is really hard not watching again. Mind doesn't want to obey. What's best to do in the rest of the day? So it is nice effort you're making, Effin, to overcome watching YouTube. We can understand it is not easy because now there is so much content, and it has a kind of energy that draws us in, and negative energies use that also. So in addition to taking auto-suggestions, you can increase your chanting. That will give you some protection. Okay, there is a question from Mukundan. I used to do Nyas daily 5 times during chanting session and Avran removal first. Very nice, Mukundan, you were able to do that. So just continue with those efforts. They will help you. And we have a question from Akshat. How to know how much karma is reduced? That is a very good question. But unfortunately, we cannot know how much karma is reduced. Everyone's karma is different. And only saints of the highest order can tell how much karma is reduced. But definitely by doing spiritual practice, karma reduces. So the thing that we can do is we can increase our spiritual practice. And the more spiritual practice we do of higher and higher levels, the more karma will reduce. So Lumina has asked, I hope this helps, Akshat. If you have any more questions, you can ask. So Lumina has asked, is this chant for everyone? Because I was brought up in Christianity. This is a universal chant, but if you want, you can continue chanting your chant, like Hail Jesus or Ave Maria. But you can add, if you want, this other chant. It is universal. It will work for everyone. So we can go to the next question of Sattvic Rupa. We can do this remedy ourselves, but how to control other family members at such time? So we cannot control other family members. We can only do something to control ourselves and to help ourselves. So we can do this remedy, but that remedy may help to improve the environment, and it will help to, because that principle helps to, of Sri Gurudev Datta, to remove ancestor problems. So, so at that time, you may see that it may help that others will be calmer also. That energy spreads when we chant, that energy spreads in the environment, so it may affect others also. Akshat, you have another question about karma. Is there any signs of karma reducing? See, karma can reduce, or we can develop the ability to overcome it. So if we are able to overcome the karma, to face it and not feel impacted, that is already a good sign. And in terms of karma reducing, it takes time, but we can see if some problems in our life go away, like if some health problems or family problems like that, that there will be a sign that karma has reduced. But it takes time. We need to do spiritual practice for some years. To overcome minor karma, we need to do medium spiritual practice. To overcome medium karma, we need to do intense spiritual practice. And to overcome intense karma, we need the grace of a guru to overcome it. So Priya has asked, we don't use nyas on the eyes, but my left eye twitches when I chant. You can use nyas on the eyes if you have some problems with the twitching. No problem. So you can do that, and you can remove the black covering around the eyes. Kitay Kaur asked, what is an auto-suggestion? So auto-suggestion is a sentence that we repeat that creates a positive impression in our mind, how we should act, and it tells us how we should not act. So for example, if I'm rushing, and if I'm impatient, the auto-suggestion will be, whenever I start rushing, I will become aware of it, I will slow down and walk calmly. So this is one example of an auto-suggestion. And auto-suggestions, we repeat 5 times in a sentence. Sorry, repeat that sentence 5 times in a session, and we can do that session 3 times a day, 5 times a day. And it helps to create a positive impression in our mind and to overcome those negative impressions, like rushing, for example. Then there is a question from Rutuja. I want to serve the world. I'm a student right now, but I also have responsibility of first helping my mother. Only after being financially independent can I do something. I feel guilty for not serving. It is very nice, Rutuja, that you have this desire, and it's very commendable that you are helping your mother. So you don't have to wait to be completely financially independent to do something. We can do whatever we can do, we should do. So whatever time we have, if I have 30 minutes a day, I can use 30 minutes a day. And the best way to serve the world nowadays is to spread spirituality, because negativity has increased in the environment and the world is in the state that you see. So the best thing to do is to spread spirituality, to tell people to do spiritual practice. So you can spread, for example, this knowledge about the moon today in different groups on Facebook, for example. There is a question from Nicola. I chant 1 hour daily, Shri Gurudev Datta, for years. Should I do it more? It depends. It depends on the level of the difficulty that we are having. So in case of a mild problem, we chant 1 hour of Datta, but we can chant 2 or 3 hours also. So you can ask our seekers in live chat, you can explain the problems that you're having, and they will be able to tell you if you should increase it or not. You can explain the symptoms of what is happening in your life, and they will be able to guide you. Usually, we should try to do 1 to 2 hours per day, because most people have problems with ancestors, because our ancestors have not done spiritual practice. They don't have the spiritual energy, so they come back to us from the subtle world to get help. And we get help with the Shri Gurudev Datta chant. So Akshata can give sentence for auto-suggestion. If you tell, for example, one example of the situation, what is your problem? And then we can try to formulate the auto-suggestion. And you asked, is it not good if good people also make a lot of money and serve society? See, making money, we need money to survive, so that is, we have to work. But serving society is something we can do regardless of how much money we have. We can serve society with the available time that we have. So the best way to serve society is to spread spirituality. So another question from Living Wellness. I want to make sure that my actions are towards God's will. So what can my auto-suggestion be? So if you can give some example, but to live according to God's will, basically what does God want is that we grow spiritually and we help others to grow spiritually, because God wants everyone to come closer to Him. So to go as per God's will, we can do more spiritual practice, and we can also live a spiritually pure lifestyle. Like on our website, you can see articles, what is a spiritual pure lifestyle. So you can, for example, how to keep our home clean, how to keep it pure, how to listen to spiritually positive music, how to use our time for spirituality. That is all, in a way, living in a spiritual way. So Srikant has asked, my sister died in 2014. I'm sorry to hear that, Srikant. Recently, my father and mother have put her photo in a room along with God's and grandparents' photo. I asked them to remove photos, but they won't listen. This is good that you told them to remove the photo, but we cannot, if they won't listen, we cannot influence others, but you can explain to them that for their benefit, that they can, because if we keep their photo, they will be attached to the photo. The subtle body will stay there. We keep drawing them back instead of letting them go further. So you can explain to them this principle, and maybe then they will listen. So Vaishali has shared, why always good and honest person suffers in life? Vaishali, it is not that only good and honest people suffer in life. Many people suffer in life. Suffering is more related to karma or destiny that has come from the previous lives. So someone can be good and have qualities and live a good life, but maybe because of some destiny from the past life, they get experiences of it in this life. So in that case, the best thing is to do spiritual practice and also we can overcome any feeling in the mind that makes us unhappy. Let's say if we have things like anger or self-centeredness, they make us unhappy, then we can overcome it with autosuggestions. Vaishali, you asked further, for securing a job, you need to lie or give fake answers. What is your solution? Usually we should avoid doing that because generally when we lie or we do something improper, we can create demerits. So best is to pray and surrender to God and tell the truth, and then we will see. Sometimes God will help us in this situation, and we may even have better results than if we use our own intellect and we lie or give fake answers. In principle, it is always best to be honest. And is everything predestined? So not everything is predestined. In today's times, 65% of our life is destiny, and 35% is due to free will. So there is some aspect of free will, but a great part of our life is predestined. Because we are in a time called Kali Yuga, we have lived many lifetimes, so a lot of destiny was collected. Rutuja, you shared, people don't believe when we share articles or share information about karma, ancestors, chanting, and spirituality. They don't believe. They say that we're too spiritual and not realistic. So this is an unfortunate state of the world today, that most people don't believe in spirituality. So we don't have to tell those people about spirituality. We should tell those who are interested. So if they're not interested, better to save the energy and time and not to tell them about it. Can we chant Datta chant while working? Yes, we can do Shri Gurudev Datta chant while working also. We can do it any place and any time, but we can do it in the mind, not to tell it out loud, as then other people can be distracted or they may complain to us. So one good thing about chanting is it can be done any place and any time. Okay, dear seeker, so are there any other questions? So there is a question from Swati. How to understand that our destiny is moderate or severe? So let's say if we have some mild problems like illnesses, that is mild destiny. If we have some financial difficulties, problems in marriage and things like that, that is more moderate destiny. And if someone has severe financial difficulties, poverty, or terminal illnesses, that is terminal illnesses basically, or sometimes there is premature death and things like that, that is severe destiny. So depending on the level of destiny, we need to do that level of spiritual practice. So if we have mild destiny, we do moderate spiritual practice. For moderate, we do intense spiritual practice. Intense means doing spiritual practice for many hours in a day. Vaishali, how we can change our destiny? I think we answered this question to Akshata. Spiritual practice is able to overcome our destiny. You can think of it as having some bank account and being in debt, and if we earn money, then we cover that debt. So similarly with spiritual practice, we earn spiritual energy which overcomes our destiny. So spiritual practice is basically the only solution to overcome destiny. Otherwise, one other way is that we just go through the destiny and we pay it off. But we have a lot of destiny from previous lives. So even if we pay it off in this life, we have to get reborn to pay off the destiny in the next life. So Martin Caputa asks, where is the life when you do all that chanting? During house chores, driving, it's like being a robot. No joy, just chanting and duties. See, Martin, it is good you shared openly. Initially, we may have a feeling that it's like a robot or mechanical. But as we keep doing it more and more, we feel more and more, we experience that chant, we experience the divinity in it. And our spiritual emotion for the chant also develops. And then we experience something called bliss. And when we experience bliss, which is the highest form of happiness, we feel fulfilled. And the life we live a regular life as usual, but we do spiritual practice in parallel to the life. So when we are driving, if we don't chant, what are we going to do? We're going to be thinking, we're going to be having a lot of thoughts about something. So anyway, our mind will be occupied. So better to occupy with something that will help us in our spiritual practice and give us protection. Hope this clarifies. So I don't believe we are born to just be like that. We should, I didn't understand this part, but basically man is born for two reasons. The purpose of life is for two reasons. One is to overcome destiny, to go through the destiny, and the other one is to grow spiritually. So anything in life is part of destiny, and the rest of the free time we can use for spiritual practice. And that will help us to change. See, spiritual practice is not just chanting, it is also to develop closeness to God, it is also to change ourselves for the better, to overcome our defects in personality, to develop qualities, to become a better person. Those are all good things. So that gives us some purpose in life. Otherwise, we go through life just filling out our destiny or having some temporary pleasures from day in and day out throughout the life. We can continue living a life, but spiritual practice is one of the main purposes. Spiritual growth is one of the main purposes why we are born. So Yolanda has asked, why the Western world suffers so much from mental health problems like depression? Is it karma? It is part of karma, but it is also because we have forgotten about spirituality. We have forgotten about spiritual living, and negativity in the environment is increased a lot. So all that negativity, which we see now impacting the world in terms of the conflict between countries, natural disasters, riots, different things like that, refugee crisis, that is causing problems to people because negativity has become very high. So if we don't overcome this negativity, if the whole world doesn't do spiritual practice, it will keep deteriorating. And this is why in the Western world, the basis of spirituality has been forgotten. So all these problems have increased more. Actually, around the whole world, this has happened. So everywhere people are suffering. And there is a lot of focus on materialism, consumerism, which gives short but temporary happiness and also gives unhappiness. It gives unhappiness because one day we have something, next day we lose it. Or we want something and we can't afford it. So it gives unhappiness also. So the solution is in spiritual dimension. And also, there are a lot of negative energies that are impacting people. And most of the problems in life are due to spiritual dimension, but people don't know it. They don't find solutions. They don't even know what to do. So those problems are not getting overcome. But once people try spiritual solutions, they are able to overcome. And we have many, many testimonials of people telling us they were able to permanently overcome their problems. So Parul has asked, is miscarriage a destiny or ancestral distress? It is unfortunate that this happens, but it can be both. It can be due to ancestors and destiny. So it can be in our destiny to have a miscarriage, or it can be due to ancestors that are blocking someone from getting born or blocking from continuing the family line. Or it can be ancestors paying us back with the destiny in that way. So in such cases, the solution is to chant a Shri Gurudev Datta chant. So a question from Nicola, how much does a prayer help to protect from the moon? So prayer helps us to surrender to God. It helps us to connect to God. But because to have a full impact of prayer, we need to be at a very high spiritual level. So like a level of Sadguru, which is 80% spiritual level. Then whatever we pray, whatever we think, it actually happens. But at our level, to make a prayer and something to happen, it's very minor. So better than, in addition to prayer, is to do the chanting. And chanting will give us protection of positive energy around to protect us from the impact of the moon. So Rutuja has asked, this is a very interesting question. If we are the creation of God, then why do we have personality defects and ego? Why we can't live like plants, animals, and other natural phenomena? So animals also suffer, yeah? Animals also have defects. They are sometimes selfish. So it is not like they are pure, completely free of defects and ego. And humans initially, in the old days, when humanity was created, we were very close to God. We were at a very high spiritual level. And over the years, over many, many thousands and millions of years, humanity's level has gone down. And a lot of defects and ego have developed. So now we are suffering the consequences. Because of the past incorrect actions, we have developed the defects of, for example, anger. If we have reacted angrily many, many times in many, many lives, we now have an impression of anger. On the other hand, we can also have qualities. If we have acted selflessly in many, many lives, we can have a quality of selflessness. So it is collected over the millennia. So it is not like God has created us in this way. There has been some deterioration. And but the good thing is God gives us always a chance to go back up. And with spiritual practice, we can overcome it. We can overcome those personality defects and ego. This is one advantage of the mind compared to the body. Now, the mind can give us a lot of suffering. It gives us depression, it gives us unhappiness. But one advantage of the mind over the body is that the mind can be changed, whereas the body cannot be changed much. Some people change it now with plastic surgery, but that's not the change I'm talking about. The actual change that the mind becomes pure, and that it becomes free of all the personality defects and ego. So that is God's grace that we are able to change like that we don't stay stuck with the personality defects and the ego that we always had. And we have many cases. You can see case studies of seekers on our website who have progressed spiritually and who have completely changed their personality for the better. Carlin, you feel like God has reduced your destiny greatly since starting spiritual practice. I've never lived so good in my life. Very nice to hear, Carlin. I'm very happy for that. This is a good example how spiritual practice can help us. Antonia, I hope to end the cycle of birth and death. It seems so hard. I'm scared if I get like animal or plant life next life. We don't know what kind of life we will have in the next life, but it is a good desire to end the cycle of birth and death, because it keeps causing unhappiness. And as I shared, over time, more and more destiny is collected, and we have a chance to also develop more personality defects and ego. And the times that we live in are not so conducive. We live in the period which is called Kali Yuga, which is the era of strife. So to have the desire not to be born again is a good desire, because then we can go to higher regions above heaven. There are different regions like Mahalok, Satyalok, Tapalok, Janalok, which are very high spiritual regions where we can continue our spiritual practice without being reborn. So it is good to see you have that desire. So just continue with your spiritual practice. And we are there to help you. You can also join our online meetings if you wish. Our seekers can post the link for the meeting. Vaishali shared how we can help people in their bad situation like road traffic accidents or terminal illness. It is very nice, Vaishali, that you're wanting to help people. Best way to help them, there are two ways. One way is if their mind is affected, they're feeling unhappy, we can suggest them auto-suggestions to accept their situation. Because if we accept the situation, then it is more easy to deal with it and to give some positive perspective in the auto-suggestion. And another thing we can tell them is to do spiritual practice, because whatever time any of us have on earth is limited time. So if we use it for spiritual practice, that is like using life, taking very good value from life. Because time once gone, it's gone. We cannot bring it back. So those are the two things we can help them with. We can help them with auto-suggestions, and we can help them with telling them about chanting and prayer and different spiritual practices. There is a question from Bhumika. You're replying to the other, yes, you're replying to what I shared. When you told your friends that you're doing spiritual practice, they told you that you're not on the right path. They were trying to prove how they are living happily. So what action to take during such conversations? And you also don't talk much to friends or relatives, but once in a while you're in the middle of such conversations. See, everybody has their path. They have their path, you have your path. Just like other people have a right to have their path, you have a right to have your own path. And if someone is to judge someone else's path, they have to try their path. Just telling someone you're not doing properly without knowing the path is also not correct. So at that time, we can say that, okay, you have a right for your opinion, but I have had experiences of my own, and this interests me, and this is what I'm continuing to do. I hope this helps. And we can also pray to God for protection in that situation. Akshat asked, what is the effect of playing chant via mobile? So first thing is that just playing a chant will not replace our spiritual practice. We ourselves should chant also. That is actually spiritual practice. But if we want help to get concentration or to purify the environment, we can play the chant on the mobile. We can play it in our house and it will purify the environment. Because the energy is in the chant, there is a divine energy. Maybe you felt it in the beginning of this session. So there is some effect of playing the chant as well. We can also put headphones while we are chanting, and it will help us, if it helps us to concentrate. And SP has asked, okay, we can take one more question from SP. Does spiritual practice bring extraordinary results in whatever we do? Yes, dear SP. Spiritual practice can bring all kinds of results. But it is not in whatever we do. Like, it depends on our intention. Some people, they do spiritual practice to gain worldly benefit. And there are chants and mantras for that as well. They will get that benefit. But someone who is not interested in that, who is interested in spiritual practice and spiritual growth, they will get that benefit. So that in itself, you can call as an extraordinary result. That growing spiritually is the best thing that can happen to anyone. And we have also many seekers who have progressed spiritually, have had all kinds of spiritual experiences. For example, feeling subtle fragrance, or seeing some light, or overcoming their problems of many, many years. So different things like this we can say are quite extraordinary. Okay, dear seekers. So we can end this session. So in conclusion, the best thing to do during the full moon is to increase our spiritual practice and to take protection. And I would also like to share that we have some online courses coming up. Our seekers will share. We have a third healing course. You can join us on Sunday. We will have a course about how to change yourself for the better. And we have also restarted the collective chanting sessions. So you can join them twice a week. And we are also going on a tour in Europe. So we will post a link in the chat. And if you're in Europe, in any of the countries we are visiting, please feel free to fill out the survey and maybe we will see you there. I'm very grateful to have had the chance to have this live stream with you. I hope this topic helped you and you learned something new. And I wish you all the best with your efforts in spiritual practice. Namaskar.